Whenever you are ready.
Okay, I am refuting Urian Buenaflor's speech on Drum Corps International, and his major claim was Drum and Bugle Corps is a more demanding activity than travel ball clubs, specifically baseball teams. And his three secondary claims were Drum and Bugle Corps rehearsal are more physically demanding than travel ball. Drum and Bugle Corps compete and travel more than travel ball clubs. Drum and Bugle Corps cost rival the cost of travel ball. And I kind of had trouble with this one because there's really no dispute between these two organizations, and he just pretty much stated, he made a comparison between them, and there was no real argument between that, so it made it a little hard to find information on and refute that. And his evidence failed to adequately support his major claim that Drum and Bugle Corps is a more demanding activity. And then, okay, my response to his first major claim, which was, let's see, that the rehearsals are more physically demanding than travel ball practices. And this does not show, okay, he states the amount of times they practice per week and how long the practices are, and he never really states how long it is for like travel ball clubs. For baseball, it's pretty like a one-sided argument for that, and yeah, so he doesn't really present the opposing side to dispute it. And then my refutation for his secondary claim, which was Drum and Bugle Corps compete and travel more than travel ball clubs. He pretty much only says that travel ball teams play about 20 games and participate in 5 to 8 tournaments, in which a tournament can be anywhere up to 4 games. So that basically doubles the amount of games they play. And he said that Drum and Bugle Corps compete 32 to 35 shows. So that means travel ball clubs play more games than Drum and Bugle Corps have shows. So that kind of undermines his claim of that. And my refutation for his third secondary claim, which was Drum and Bugle Corps' costs rival that of travel ball, and he uses information that was not correctly stated by himself. He says that he found information on a 9-year-old whose parents claimed that they spent $4,000 on their son to play youth baseball, and which kind of undermines his own claim that Drum and Bugle Corps is more economically demanding, because he then states that the average cost for Drum and Bugle Corps is $3,100. So that, I mean, he directly undermined himself right there. And it was not a valid comparison because he doesn't state the age group for which he was saying that total average cost was. And he said that, the 9-year-old costs $4,000. So if it's costing $4,000 for a 9-year-old, I couldn't imagine what it would be for someone in high school. And that's, thank you for your time. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, Nick, you identify the proposition very clearly. The secondary issues are labeled also. I think you've got the right idea here. We talked about this the other day and trying to find what's going on here. That there's really, it's not clear why we're having this discussion. You know, and you kind of say, so it's, what's the phrase that you use? There's no dispute between the two organizations. You know, there's no argument between them. The real question is where is the conflict that would require us to choose between these situations? Did the advocate give us any reason why believing one is more demanding than the other matters to anybody? That it has a consequence to somebody, that it affects somebody in some way, shape, or form. They failed to do that. That's the first prerequisite for there to be an argument that there has to be a conflict. The advocate provided no explanation about what is in conflict here. A difference of opinion does not necessarily rise to the level of a conflict, so I'm not sure what's going on here. There's not even an argument that says that you can't do both. Maybe you can do travel ball 4 months of the year and drum and bugle corps 5 months of the year and can participate in both activities. Is there any explanation from the advocate that says that you have to choose between those things? No, there isn't. So when you say that there's not really an argument here, you have to explain why it matters that there's an argument, and I think that's what's missing. Kind of what you do is you say, well, I don't know why we're making this comparison, and it made it hard for me to find any information about it, which makes it sound like an apology, and a demurrer instead of making an affirmative claim that says the advocate failed to do something that was necessary. I think you need to be a little bit more forceful about it. You've got the right idea here, but you need to phrase it a little bit more, make a declarative sentence as opposed to an apology in the argument. When you got to the supporting points, I thought that you did okay coming up with some general criticisms. For instance, when you said that there wasn't enough comparison to travel ball, I like that. The number of practices and the length of practice, we don't know what that is. Now, we did get an explanation about the number of competitions, and you, in essence, suggest that there's likely to be a comparable number of, they play 20 games and up to 4 games in a tournament. They play 5 to 8 tournaments, so that's pretty much comparable to the number of things that they're doing. You might also point out that a performance in the drum and bugle corps is likely to last anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes at most. How long does the average travel ball game last? 2 to 3 hours, for instance. And if you have extra innings, I don't know if they have extra innings in youth baseball or in those situations, but if they have anything like that. So you're talking about 30 competitions, each one is 15 minutes, versus 30 competitions, each one is 2 hours. Maybe there is something that's a little bit more demanding about the travel. I think there's an obvious argument there, and that's something that you kind of missed on that point. The cost comparison thing I thought was interesting. I thought you did a good job. Look, his own evidence says that it's relatively cheaper to do the drum and bugle corps than it is the travel ball, although, there's a slight difference. But he's talking about the example that he uses in 9-year-olds for playing travel ball. When do kids get involved in drum and bugle corps? Are there any kids in drum and bugle corps that are that young participating in the process, or do they have to be high school age or even out of high school, for instance, to participate in this process? Because if that's the case, then you might have 7 or 8 years of kids playing travel ball at $4,000 a year to be able to get competitive. And that's all happening before they ever reach the level where they would be competing, let's say, at the drum and bugle corps level. So that's another place where I think there's a contrast there. You think a little bit harder. You've got it. You've got the information there. You just need to take an extra step on that point. All right, thank you.